Welcome to Crazy World News out of Chicago. For over 2 decades, since 2001, a chilling pattern of violence has gripped our city. At least 51 women, aged 18 to 58, have been murdered in a disturbingly similar fashion. These victims, predominantly Black and often with ties to the justice system, were typically strangled, partially or fully stripped, and left in the city's forgotten corners, abandoned buildings, dark alleys, garbage bins, and even parks or snowdrifts. We're bringing you the raw, unfiltered truth behind this ongoing mystery.
In the depths of Chicago's underbelly, where neon lights flicker and dark alleys whisper secrets, a sinister specter lurks. Over the past 2 decades, the Windy City has been marred by a series of gruesome murders, a trail of unspeakable horror that has left more than 50 vulnerable souls lifeless. These victims, all caught in the grasp of a relentless killer, have become the haunted legacy of a predator known only as the Chicago Strangler. As the fog of neglect and fear swirls over the city, the question remains: is there a demonic force at work, or a human monster hiding in plain sight? In this grim narrative, the victims of the Chicago Strangler emerge not as mere statistics, but as tragic souls condemned by cruelty. Most were African American women, vulnerable and alone, their lives already burdened by hardship and despair. Found in the cold silence of abandoned lots and forgotten corridors, their bodies bore the marks of a brutal fate, strangled to death and stripped of their dignity. Each fallen victim adds a mournful note to a symphony of horror echoing through the dark heart of the city. The methods of the Chicago Strangler are as chilling as they are methodical. With cold, calculated precision, each victim was suffocated, often with a plastic bag drawn tightly over their faces, while other signs of depravity painted a picture of a killer who revels in the degradation of his prey. This is no random act of violence. It is a ritual of terror, a signature of horror left by a predator driven by dark obsessions. The act of strangulation becomes a twisted statement, an act of control that defies reason and shakes the very foundations of humanity. A dark map of Chicago reveals a pattern written in blood. The majority of these horrific crimes cluster in the forsaken districts of the South and West Sides, areas steeped in poverty and neglect, where despair festers like an open wound. It is here, amid crumbling infrastructure and forgotten neighborhoods, that the Chicago Strangler hunted his prey. The geographic scars of the city speak a language of isolation and systemic failure, where darkness reigns and every shadow hides a potential nightmare. The twisted puzzle of these murders has ignited fierce debate. Some claim the signature of a singular, sadistic serial killer, a monster whose every act is fueled by a perverse desire to dominate. Others whisper that these tragedies are the bitter harvest of systemic neglect, a gruesome outcome of a society that has long forsaken its most vulnerable. In the echoing void between these theories, forensic evidence tells a fragmented tale, leaving the truth obscured by shadows and unanswered questions. In the wake of these brutal crimes, Chicago is left with a lingering nightmare. Families shattered by loss, communities haunted by the unsolved, and a city burdened by its own failures. The absence of justice for these over 50 souls casts a long, dark shadow over Chicago, a perpetual reminder of the horror that can fester when society turns a blind eye. The legacy of the Chicago Strangler, or perhaps the legacy of neglect that allowed such evil to thrive, is a stain on the city's soul. As night falls over the restless city, the enigma of the Chicago Strangler continues to lurk in every shadow. Whether the work of a single malevolent predator or the tragic byproduct of systemic indifference, these murders have carved a permanent scar into Chicago's heart. The haunting legacy of these lost souls serves as a grim warning. in the darkest corners of a city where trust is betrayed and neglect festers, true horror is never far behind. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another spine-tingling story. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you believe is the truth behind this unspeakable crime? Until next time, keep your eyes open, because the darkness might be closer than you think.